Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
I love the visibility that you get from the driver's seat. I love those bulges on the bonnet as well. And the A-pillar, despite having this huge speaker setup on there, it doesn't really feel all that intrusive. The BMW X3's trump card is the ride and handling department. The X3 now employs lighter suspension components that comprise of coil springs and adaptive dampers. The car sets new benchmarks for the segment by maintaining a flat ride through corners and boasting of easier turn-ins. The new X3 is about 55 kilos lighter than the outgoing car depending on the variant you choose, and that weight loss shows in the way it handles around the bends. The turn-ins are much quicker now, and that is also complemented by a very finely tuned steering setup which weighs up nicely at highway speeds and around the twisties, and in the city it remains quite conveniently light. I was a bit wary of the braking on the previous generation X3, but the new one sorts it out nicely. The feel of the brake pedal is nice and progressive. The braking, the bite is confident, it's very predictable and confidence inspiring in that sense. And even the gearbox feels more attentive now for engine braking. The X-Drive system is more rear biased now. That, along with the electronic differential, give this car its impressive cornering manners. There's no hint of understeer even when pushing the car hard. And the trademark communicative BMW steering is the icing on the cake. The sport mode stiffens things up, and how. The car will start skipping and jumping and tracking over imperfections in the road. But the moment you hit the twisties, oh my god, you get this flat ride through the corners. In fact, the dynamics are so good that they make the drivetrain feel a little slow. The drivetrain isn't lethargic, it isn't slow, but the dynamics, oh my god, they're so good. It starts making you beg for more power in this car. The X-Drive X30D, yes please. The X-Drive M40i, oh my god, yes please. BMW, you need to bring that car to India. The new X3 is powered by BMW's trusty B47 2-litre 4-cylinder diesel engine. I love the refinement of this new engine, but in the X3, it just feels so much better. Even past the 4000 RPM range, you do not get that typical gravelly note that you associate with diesel engines. It feels so much more refined. Of course, it's also around this rev range, the top end of the rev range, that the engine starts feeling a little out of breath. But the mid-range pull, the low-end pull, it's quite strong. And that ensures that drivability in the city is no problem at all. And around the twisties, the X3 becomes a lot of fun. The weakness of BMW's 2-litre oiler is highlighted further when you experience what the Q5 similarly spec TDI engine can manage, which is surprising considering that the Q5 is the heaviest car of this test. The engine of the Audi Q5, it isn't the most powerful of this test, but it is easily the most eager of this test, and that makes for a very engaging drive. The magic lies in the 7-speed DSG transmission and the grip that comes from the finely tuned quattro all-wheel drive system. The transmission changes character significantly as you cycle through the driving modes. This drivetrain with the X3's handling package would be the ideal driver's car for the segment. The Audi Q5 had left my colleagues impressed when we reviewed the car earlier this year. But drive it behind the new X3 and you immediately notice that it is visually and practically squishier compared to its compatriot. The flip side is a marginally comfier ride than the Bimmer. The Q5 also gets the quattro all-wheel drive, which gives it impressive grip, but it feels slightly more understeery when you compare it to the rear bias dynamics of the X3. The engaging driving dynamics of the Q5 are marred to an extent by the overly assisted steering. When you hop into this car from the X3, this one feels a little too artificial, a bit too light for my liking. That sort of kills the fun a bit. Come to terms with that steering and the Q5 is quite impressive to drive. It is also one of the easiest cars to drive in this lot and has the most progressive braking feel in this test compared to the relatively sharper brakes of the X3 or the spongy braking feel of the XC60. Speaking of the understeer though, the XC60 displays this characteristic the most, especially when pushing the car around tight bends. The grip from the Haldex all-wheel drive in this regard, is more safety biased than performance. The AWD systems on all the three cars handle mild off-road scenarios like dirt, sand or snowy paths, rocky trails and shallow water crossings quite well. The XC60 edges ahead though with its ability to lift the body by 40mm to crawl over bumpier surface. This is courtesy of the air suspension, which may not impart racetrack-ready dynamics, but makes the XC60 the comfiest ride of this test. The definition of driving fun can be different for different people. It may not always be about being on the edge of the power or attacking every corner as it comes. Some like it laid back. They want the drivetrain to be responsive but not aggressive. And if you are that kind of a person, then probably the Volvo XC60 could be the car for you. It has the most powerful engine of this test, but it doesn't overwhelm the driver in any way. That is pretty much the character of the XC60's package too. Laid back and to the point. If that is what you seek, the Volvo XC60 could be the car for you. In fact, let us sum it all up. Like our previous test with the luxury compact crossovers, this one too comes to a very close finish with hardly a point separating the contenders. All things considered, the Volvo XC60 still remains the ideal crossover to buy in this category. It has all the bells and whistles that you expect from a premium car of today, has a desirable design, and is priced very competitively for the kind of kit that it offers. The X3 ties with the Q5 as both the cars fall short of the XC60 by only a point. But to answer the bigger question that we started this test with, the BMW X3 is the ideal driver's car in this segment now, period. It is far superior than the other two in terms of driving dynamics and puts power down to the road in a manner that will excite the enthusiast in you. But it does it all so well that a sprightlier engine and a bit more kit is all that it needs now to be the crossover of choice in this segment. Get the xDrive 30D already, BMW.